confidential, head held high, and did not make any eye contact with Sean Combs. The moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she had to say.
She was also talking about how at times when she would be in the middle of her freak-offs, she might have to vomit, and then Sean Combs would still force her to participate in the freak-offs even though she was very, very ill.
So they dropped a big bomb when they mentioned that Cassie will testify that a male escort performed a sexual act that required him to urinate.
This is absolutely true.
Trial surrounding Diddy has taken a deeply disturbing turn. Cassie, visibly pregnant and emotional, has just given a testimony that's left everyone shaken. She shared harrowing details about her time with Diddy that are chilling and almost beyond belief. The things she described paint a picture of an abuse so extreme it's difficult to wrap your mind around. She alleges that Diddy subjected her to grotesque, twisted encounters, experiences so intense they draw unsettling parallels to the grotesque ideas once linked to Jeffrey Epstein's plans involving DNA manipulation and artificial intelligence. We're talking about horrors like male escorts performing degrading acts, scientists reportedly being present at these parties, and Cassie being controlled with substances to keep her from mentally breaking under the pressure. Cassie claims that she was physically broken down, battling constant UTIs, painful sores on her tongue, and at one point even an unwanted pregnancy that she had to terminate. These were not just moments of abuse. She was allegedly being treated like a mere experiment, a subject to be controlled and tortured. If these allegations are proven to be true, Diddy's world is about to come crashing down, and fast. Let's dive into this deeply troubling situation. For years, whispers circulated about Diddy's parties, the bizarre, secretive events where anything could happen behind closed doors. The blogs were filled with cryptic blind items, hinting at the dark, twisted nature of the mogul's gatherings. But now, Cassie has come forward, not in the shadows, but under oath, revealing the full extent of the horrors she endured. The details she shared in court were so gut-wrenching that she couldn't hold back her tears as she relived it all while carrying Diddy's child. According to Cassie, these freak-offs weren't just humiliating. They were physically excruciating. After these events, she wasn't able to simply go home and try to forget what had happened. She was left in so much pain that she had to rely on powerful opiates just to feel like a human again. She spoke about being massaged, hooked up to IV, fluids, and having special meals prepared for her like she was attending some kind of luxurious retreat. But in reality, this wasn't a spa day. It was recovery, the kind needed after being pushed to your emotional and physical limits. In hindsight, those clips of Diddy and his mother receiving IVs in fancy hotel suites, once dismissed as mere detox rituals, now seem much darker. What people might have seen as just high society theatrics could actually be part of a much more disturbing process, something to help them survive after the kind of sessions Cassie was subjected to. The physical toll on Cassie didn't stop at emotional scars. She said that after these encounters, she began suffering from UTIs repeatedly, an almost constant condition that no amount of antibiotics could cure. This wasn't a case of poor hygiene. This was the result of the extreme abuse she was allegedly enduring. And to make matters worse, her body wasn't able to fight back against the infections, making her even more vulnerable. Anyone who's had a UTI knows how painful they can be, but to endure that while being emotionally drained, medicated, and forced to maintain a public face? That's unimaginable. But perhaps the most devastating part of Cassie's testimony was how she described the physical pain she endured during these sessions. She used the word burning to describe what it felt like: intense, unrelenting, pain that no woman should ever experience, especially not in the name of someone who professed to care for her. Cassie's words were clear. She wouldn't wish that kind of suffering on anyone. This testimony is only the beginning of a very dark and complicated story. If these claims hold any weight, Diddy's empire could be facing a reckoning of unprecedented proportions. The case is unfolding in real time, and as more details come to light, it's becoming clear that what was once whispered about in the tabloids might be far closer to the truth than anyone imagined. The details that came out of Cassie's testimony have been absolutely chilling. She shared that, even years after her time with Diddy, she still has visible sores on her tongue, so severe that they never fully healed, a painful reminder of the trauma she endured. The fact that she's still dealing with this in 2025, years after the last time she saw Diddy in 2018 at Kim Porter's funeral, speaks volumes. This wasn't just emotional pain. This was real, lasting physical damage. Cassie also dropped a name that immediately caught people's attention: Daniel Phillip. He wasn't some random guy at one of Diddy's parties. He was allegedly a regular. He was brought in intentionally, like clockwork. Cassie was asked if she ever wanted to sleep with him, and her reaction said everything. Without hesitation, she answered with a firm "no," followed by an awkward laugh, as if her body was trying to block out memories her mind couldn't forget. And here's the kicker. These weren't just casual encounters. Daniel and others like him were reportedly paid hefty sums, between $1,000 and $6,000 per session. This was not some spontaneous thing. It was an organized, transactional arrangement. But, as Cassie made clear, this wasn't about her own desire. She didn't participate because she wanted to, she did it because she was scared. Cassie's ordeal wasn't limited to being coerced into sex with escorts. Diddy's manipulation and control extended far beyond the bedroom. She's spoken about how he beat her, dragged her by her hair, and kept her under his thumb in ways that were deeply damaging. When he asked her to sleep with someone else, it wasn't a request. It was an ultimatum. It wasn't about her choice. It was about maintaining his power over her. And let's be clear, coercion isn't consent. But here's where things take an even darker turn. According to Cassie, some of these disturbing encounters allegedly involved scientists in a billionaire's private party. This doesn't just sound surreal. It raises eerie comparisons to the scandal surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, who famously used his wealth and connections to create a twisted, experimental world with the help of scientists and tech moguls. Could Diddy's gatherings have operated in a similar way? It's hard to ignore the growing parallels between Diddy and Epstein. Both men were surrounded by powerful, influential figures. Both used their influence to silence and control people. And now, Diddy is facing a federal grand jury case under RICO charges, which typically suggest the investigation of an entire criminal enterprise. Yet so far, only Diddy is facing charges. Why aren't others involved, like the scientists and tech moguls being named? Why is the focus still just on him? Here's where things get especially concerning. The prosecutor for Diddy's case is Damon Williams, the same U.S. attorney who led the case against Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's close associate. That's a connection that is starting to feel uncomfortable, especially when you consider how both cases have eerily mirrored one another. In Maxwell's trial, the names of the high-profile men who allegedly participated in Epstein's abuse were kept hidden. It's starting to look like the same thing is happening with Diddy. Cassie's testimony revealed another chilling detail. Diddy's homes were reportedly rigged with hidden cameras, just like Epstein's properties. Cassie and others have claimed that secret surveillance systems were placed all around Diddy's homes, capturing everything that went on. These weren't just homes. They were places where people were turned into real-life subjects of an ongoing, disturbing experiment. It sounds like something straight out of a nightmare, but the fact that there are so many similarities to Epstein's operations raises serious questions. And just like Epstein, Diddy seems to have a convenient ability to dodge serious consequences. Even though his empire is under investigation, many key figures in his orbit remain silent, and we've seen how the powerful have a way of avoiding accountability. Could these hidden tapes, like the ones Epstein allegedly had, be evidence of much more sinister activities? If they exist, are they being kept under wraps by those in power to protect the influential names involved? Now, if you're feeling a sense of déjà vu, it's because there's something strangely familiar about this. Remember how Epstein was allegedly tied to intelligence agencies, and how those who tried to bring him to justice were told to stand down? Some believe Diddy might be operating with similar protection, thanks to his long-standing ties to influential figures. including music mogul Clive Davis. What if Diddy's rise to power and his ability to avoid scrutiny was helped by figures like Clive, who allegedly mentored him in ways that might go beyond just business advice? Could Clive have been complicit in what was happening behind closed doors? The chilling part is that rumors have circulated for years that Diddy might have been an FBI informant. If true, it would explain his remarkable ability to avoid serious legal trouble over the years. Even Kanye West hinted at this in one of his rants, suggesting that Diddy's ability to stay out of jail was due to a deal with the authorities. And here's where things get truly unsettling. There's speculation that Clive Davis might have known everything about what was going on. Could he have been part of setting up these disturbing experiments? The abusive patterns of control and manipulation seem eerily similar to what was alleged in Epstein's world. And if you think this is far-fetched, just consider the bigger picture. Cassie's testimony has left many wondering if Diddy's parties were more than just depraved acts of power. They might have been part of something even darker, something much bigger than we can yet fully understand. Whether these claims will lead to true justice or remain buried by the powerful remains to be seen, but the connections between Diddy's case and Epstein's saga are becoming undeniable. When we look at high-profile cases like Epstein's, there's a haunting pattern that always seems to emerge. Witnesses go silent, some vanish completely, and others walk back their testimonies. It's as if the truth is being erased in real time. A chilling example of this in the Diddy case involves victim 3. She reportedly had crucial information, potentially tied to the disturbing new angle of human experimentation. But before she could testify, she vanished. Now, they're saying she never even existed in the first place. Something doesn't add up. Prosecutors were about to reveal her name when she was supposed to take the stand, but she's gone, and authorities can't seem to locate her. This is starting to feel like a classic cover-up job, with the evidence being swept under the rug before anyone can dig too deep. And then there's Diddy, who, while behind bars, is allegedly reaching out to victims and witnesses, trying to interfere with the case. This isn't the first time we've seen this kind of behavior. Remember the Franklin scandal from the 1980s? That whole mess had political figures, allegations of trafficking minors, and the media, as usual, turned a blind eye. Who was behind helping to suppress the truth back then? William Barr, the former Attorney General who also played a role in shielding Epstein during his second investigation. Now, if you start connecting the dots between Epstein, the Franklin scandal, and Diddy's case, the similarities are chilling. Same playbook, same cover-ups, just different faces in the game. It feels like we're watching the same twisted story unfold all over again. That's why Cassie's testimony is so powerful. It's one of the first times we're seeing light break through the darkness, revealing the horrors that were hidden for so long. But now the big question is this the end for Diddy? Are we witnessing the collapse of his empire? If the allegations Cassie's made are true, ranging from horrific human experimentation to substance abuse and connections to powerful elites, then there's a much bigger web of involvement here. Diddy didn't orchestrate this alone, so who else is going to fall with him? Who are the other big names that might be dragged into this mess? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't hold back. And remember, like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any updates on this intense unfolding story. It's far from over, and we're all in for one wild ride.